Today we're making loaded baked potato soup. It is perfect on a winter day. We're getting into winter. It's comforting, but it's also super quick. It's quicker than making a baked potato. It's all the flavors you want. It has the bacon. It has the garnishes you can put on top and make a bar pretty much like a baked potato bar, but on soup. So I'm gonna take you through each step so you can make it and enjoy just like I am. As we settle into winter, it's always nice to have certain soups that can be made pretty quickly, but also be hearty, filling, make everyone happy, be really comforting, and that's what this is about. So this is a loaded baked potato soup, and we're gonna start with bacon, which is gonna be our base flavor. We're gonna use the grease that comes out of it, that fat from the bacon, that's actually gonna then flavor the rest of the soup, and then we're gonna add the bacon back at the end. So what I'm taking is some bacon, and I'm slicing it up. And the reason for this is, I wanna cook it in the same pot as the soup, but I don't wanna have big, long strips of bacon. I just want these little pieces, and then what we can do is put them right into a cold stock pot, which is what we're gonna build our soup in. So I'm gonna take all these over. We're gonna put them right in here in a cold stock pot because that is actually gonna render that bacon fat out a little bit better. So we're gonna put this on a nice kind of medium-low heat, let this slowly start cooking and get our onion and aromatics ready. The bacon is just about done, so I'm getting ready my aromatics, which are gonna consist of onion and celery for the most part. And these are a classic potato soup addition because they have that quality to really work into the potatoes and just kind of have this nice underlying flavor throughout, and that's what we want. So what we're gonna do to make sure that flavor of a loaded potato soup, think of a baked potato bar. I don't know if you've ever, growing up we had baked potato bars at church every so often, and you could put anything and everything on that baked potato. But think of it as the bacon, the sour cream, the cheese. That's kind of that combination of flavor that's going into this. And you need that celery to really drive that home. Now, if celery has those leaves, keep these. I'm setting these aside because to me, they are a flavor gold star to have because you can add those at the end as a garnish. They have such a nice light celery flavor. I think of it like a parsley. It's just nice to keep them. So what I'm doing is dicing this all fairly small, you can see. And that's just gonna make sure it's even, which is what I want. And it's gonna cook evenly and saute. And what we're gonna do now, I have all that chopped up ready. We're gonna look at our bacon. And if you look over here with me, it's beautiful. It's crispy. It has all that goodness worked out of it, which is what's in the bottom of the pan here. And what we're gonna do is, we are gonna keep that bacon grease in the pan. Now, if you didn't grow up in a home that loved bacon grease like I did, this may seem odd to you. We grew up, maybe it's a Midwest thing. We grew up with a container right beside the stove, and anytime mom would have bacon, which we didn't have bacon all the time, but anytime we did, she would save that fat or that grease because when you cook potatoes, fry potatoes, anything, it just adds such a good flavor. So I'm gonna set this aside, let that bacon cool, and what I like to do is check how much grease I have down there. Now I can tell just by eyeballing it, it's enough. You can check the recipe here. If it's not enough, measure it out and add butter to supplement if you need to, because you wanna make sure you have enough to cook the onion and the celery. So I'm gonna grab all these components right here. And then what we're gonna do once these are sauteing is we're gonna get our garlic ready, and that's gonna be added a little bit after. I don't want the garlic to burn or to get bitter. So I'm gonna let these cook and saute first with a little bit of salt. You wanna season along the way. And we're gonna let them just soften. The onions and celery have been sauteing. It smells amazing. It has that smoky bacon, the onion. So I'm adding the garlic right now towards the end of this sauteing process because I don't want that garlic to burn. So I'm gonna put it right in there and just let it warm through. You wanna make sure that garlic just kind of touches the heat, starts to become really fragrant. That usually takes about 30 seconds to a minute is all. And now that I'm smelling it, I'm just gonna add in some flour. So this is gonna help give the soup just the right amount of body, the right amount of viscosity, texture. Even though we're doing potato, we're gonna blend some of the potatoes too for that, but the flour is gonna help us. So what we're gonna do is let it actually work into that bacon grease that's in there. We're gonna just stir this until it starts to kind of clump up. And I'm gonna stir this for about a minute so it really kind of cooks out that raw flour. The flour starts to really kind of clump up and cling to the bottom of the pan and to all the aromatics that are in there. So just after about a minute, that's when I'm gonna start adding my stock in. And you don't have to worry too much here. I do add a little bit maybe and then kind of work it in a little bit to the flour, but I'm not worried about making sure it thickens to the proper rate right now because what we're gonna be doing is letting it cook for a while. So I'm gonna stir that stock right in there. We're just gonna let it sit for a minute while I come over here and finish with the potatoes. So I have been peeling and getting ready my potatoes. Now you can use russet potatoes, you can use gold potatoes, really any of those that you're gonna have on hand, and I'm peeling them you don't have to peel them. It'll just affect the color of your soup. So if you don't want to peel them, just make sure you scrub them well. You know, if they're turning green though, obviously you're going to want to peel them and get all that green off. You can get down below that mark of green and then they're fine to eat. But what we're going to do is just dice these up into nice kind of bite-sized pieces. See how nice all these are? And you can see it's a good amount of potato, but the thing is here, we are going to actually cook them and then we're going to blend a few. So we really, to me, have that perfect body and texture that we want in a good potato soup. And so what I want to do is add the potatoes in, and along with those, we're going to actually add in some sprigs of thyme, and I'll just remove these later, but they're just going to really flavor the soup while it sits and while it simmers. So I'm adding the potatoes. We're going to bring this up to a boil. We're going to turn it down to a simmer, partially cover and let it cook until those potatoes are tender. Our soup has been simmering, and it really doesn't take that long since we diced up those potatoes nice and small, and you can already tell it has a thickness from that flour. Now what I want to do, and to know when your potatoes are tender, you take one out, you insert it with a knife, make sure there's no resistance, or you just eat a piece, and you can tell by that too. So I am going to just use a ladle, and liquid and all, take out some of these potatoes. And now you can do this in a canister blender. I'm going to do it in an immersion blender, but what I want to do to give it that, to me, perfect and iconic potato texture, I want to blend some of these. So what I'm going to do is just bring this over. We're going to let that just keep simmering away slowly. And I'm going to take my stick blender, immersion blender, whatever you have, countertop blender, and we're just going to blend it until it's smooth. It really doesn't take long because those potatoes are so tender. But do you see how beautiful that is? That texture is just perfect. And obviously it's really thick in here, but we're going to add it back in with the soup, and we're going to add a few now more touches. And this is where, to me, everything comes together just beautifully. So we're adding this thickened kind of base in, which is going to be intense potato flavor too. It's not just a texture thing. You're getting those potatoes and that flavor too. I am going to take out now the thyme. It's been doing its thing. It's done. We did what we needed to. We're going to add in some cream. This is just going to add that richness. It's going to work in really well and beautifully. We're going to add in here about half of the shredded cheese. You want to reserve half of it and use it as a garnish usually. And we're gonna put that right in so it kind of just melts into it. And then some of the bacon here. Now, I like, again, some of that bacon as a garnish. So we're gonna put in some of the bacon. We're gonna keep some of that bacon out. But what I wanna do now is just stir all this together. And already you're seeing this beautiful textured soup. We're gonna add in some black pepper because that to me is essential. You can taste it for seasoning at this point if you need more salt, but stir it, let it warm all the way through. Then I'll show you how I serve it up. Here's the soup all ready to go. To me, this is the perfect textured soup, so I want to show you. Look at that beautiful texture on that soup. Let's put some in a bowl so you can see. It has like just that perfect viscosity. It's more like a chowder, which is what I want, because to me, a potato soup should have some heft to it. If that is not beautiful, guys, what is? This is the perfect wintertime soup on a cold day. This is where you can kind of make it your own. I personally, in the soup, both in the big pot here, I would put some parsley as a garnish, but I would also do that into my bowl here too if I didn't put it into the pot. We do have also those celery leaves that I think just make a beautiful garnish, but also have good flavor. To me, you have some sour cream you can add. You can put a little bit more cheese on top just to kind of let it melt in. You can put a little bit of bacon on top so people know what it is. That to me is the beauty of it. And there you have, and you can set it up like a potato bar, a baked potato bar, but with soup. I know, right? It's exciting. We're bringing soup and we're making it exciting because I think soup is exciting. It's a hearty, filling, healthy meal, and we're gonna enjoy it. So this is what you can satisfy all your friends with, your family, or just yourself. And it's hot. Oh my, that flavor is so comforting too. It has a nostalgic flavor to it. Those potatoes are creamy, melt in your mouth. You get them both from the texture of that soup, but also from each individual potato. You get the pieces of bacon and you get that underlying base flavor that is not overpowering bacon or smokiness, but is just beautiful. And that's because we cooked the onion and celery in that bacon. So what do I hope you do? I hope you're inspired, excited to make soup. Make loaded baked potato soup because it's easy. It's quicker than making a baked potato, honestly. and you can make it your own still and customize it. So share this video around so other people can see how easy it is to make food at home. If I can do it, you can do it, and I promise you it's that easy. Check my website, wyseguide.com, for this recipe and all my other recipes. They're on my website. You can print them off, use them, and share them just like food should be. Enjoy.